then. So this is a very special episode of Self-Funding because this is our first one where we have a guest.
Yay!
Yay! And our first guest is a very, very close friend of ours, Barbara. You want to say hi?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Iskra. Thank you, Philip. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We're going to delve in today to Barbara's biggest passion, which is astrology. And we have a very funny story that I think Philip should share about why I feel like this was important for us to talk about the power of your zodiac and of your signs.
Definitely. I've been super into signs and people's zodiac for a while now. And it's kind of how I deal with certain people in my life. And it's exactly how I made my blueprint on how to bag my it's great by literally looking at her zodiac and seeing like what were the certain things that were important to her, what were the characteristics I need to look out for, and
Nice. And did you have her full chart or did you just go off of her sun sign?
I just went off of her sun sign, and then I just started looking at the traits and like seeing certain things, and like till this day nothing surprises me, which is great.
Gives you like that little bit of a background, I guess.
Yeah.
But B, I also want to share, because I think that what is most exciting about where you are is you used this last year, what a crazy time to say the least, in a really powerful way, because you essentially took something you were passionate about and now you're really turning it into a platform of your own where you have your own podcast. So I would love for you to speak to that and share with people who are maybe feeling a little bit lost right now and want to use their passion and turn it into something.
Yeah, well, I mean, it all started really toward the end of 2018. I had a little bit of a heartbreak and I was trying to understand myself and like why I was so affected by this person and the situation. And astrology was like, here's the problem. This is the issue. You're Venus in Scorpio. Things are deep for you. So it turned into me really falling in love with astrology and then trying to understand other people. And throughout the pandemic, I want to say it was so useful in all of the necessary introspection that's required during such, an extended amount of time being alone. I live alone, so like spending all this time with myself, it was quite a bit. And learning to understand myself and my chart fully, and then taking that and applying it to other people in my life, like my mother or friends or, coworkers. It was very, very useful.
So do you think in a way it kind of helped with your mental health during isolation?
For sure, 110%. I was able to kind of figure out what my strengths were in being alone and just like celebrating the parts of me that otherwise were neglected because I was surrounded by so many people all the time, out in the world, busy, and then figuring out, when I am alone, the kinds of things that I needed to do to kind of, I don't know, get closer to myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What do you think the most surprising thing that you learned like during this time and like during your research and like really, really diving into it?
The most surprising thing is that we are all more alike than we think, and that like all of us have a birth chart, and we all know our sun signs, right? But within that chart, there's literally every other sign. So there's the whole zodiac within our being, and we just have to figure out what area in our life the energy of that sign plays out the most. So that was one of the most surprising things that I learned.
And just remember when we got, let me not say his name, when we got our child's birth chart off of B, and I remember reading it through and getting excited, but also being like, oh, an Aries, okay, fiery. Like that's the obvious thing, right? I feel like we all know that Aries are fiery and they're adventurous and they want to be leaders. But then delving into the birth chart you saw, and then seeing these different other sides. And one of the things that made me laugh so much, because it was like, we'll love to be held. Literally, I have to hold my baby all the time. That there was just so many things that as we got to know our child more, because they are a stranger at the beginning, like you know them because they're part of you, but at the same time you're discovering them, and having that birth chart as a bit of a map and a little bit of a like, okay, we can expect maybe these things. It definitely helped with the understanding, I feel.
I think
Oh,
that's the
for sure.
most, that's the most thing that's the thing that attracts me to it so much, is that it helps you understand people, instead of
Yeah.
like getting so, maybe frustrated with them at moments, or maybe so upset with them if they do something that you kind of don't agree with, or that you don't, believe in. If you dive into like who they are and their sign, it's like, oh, okay, this is probably why they see things the way that they see it.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like having a birth chart, it's kind of like a little bit of a cheat sheet of like, here's kind of like where they're coming from, so you can understand how their mind works, how they're perceiving the world, how they see you. And it's just so helpful in just understanding someone, and therefore like knowing how to go about, raising a child, especially like, what their needs are emotionally. You could look to the moon sign, if, they'll be a leader, or, if you need to encourage them to be more of a leader and be themselves, all those kinds of things.
Because they can't communicate yet.
Sure, but so what do you say to people who have their like, who are skeptical and who are like, I don't believe in that? You know how people are. Like, what do you
Yeah.
like? What's your opinion? Like, how do you talk to them about,
I had a
astrology?
couple of Capricorn friends who were kind of skeptical because, Capricorn, they're pretty, practical, and like
Yeah,
they want to like see the facts, and like this
that's
isn't,
very Virgo-ish too, honestly.
kind of, yeah, it's an
Don't
earth
believe
thing.
until it's there. It's actually
Exactly.
there,
But I mean, I just say, just get your birth chart read, you know, tell me your birth time. I'll look it up, and then we can have a conversation about, your characteristics, some of your strengths. I can talk to you about some traumas that you've experienced that have shaped you into the person that you are now. All those kinds of things. It's very surprising what you could tell by looking at a birth chart, which is why it's also important not to kind of like share that with just anybody. Because like there's a lot of information in a birth chart.
So if anyone's watching this, obviously we'll put these Insta down below, so you can definitely message her, and she has an amazing podcast that she's just launched, so go check that out. One question that I feel like is a little bit naughty, Philip might not want me to ask this, but as we have an Aries baby, if we were thinking about having another baby, is there potential signs to maybe avoid? If I know we can't really plan in time of baby, we didn't plan the first one, but if there was one where you're like, oh, try and avoid that, maybe.
Yeah, is there a sign that like, what would conflict
Right.
with the Aries?
Ooh. I mean, he's an Aries, and I think if I'm remembering correctly,
Leo.
what's his moon? He's in a Leo.
Yeah.
Leo moon.
Right. Oh no, we need to go back.
No, he's an Aquarius moon.
Yeah.
Is he?
I think he is.
Yeah, very smart, very intellectual. Yeah, I remember this because I kept saying, oh, he's a genius. He's a baby genius.
Right, I do remember.
So I think really, if we're thinking about another child, you should think about the moon, because as babies, we're all very emotional. We are living in our moon sign more so than the sun, which is the ego. It's our identity. It's, what we want to be known for, what we want to express to the world is the sun sign.
Yeah.
But as infants, we're living really in our, moon energy, just emotional needs, what we, feel safe in. So for an Aquarius, I feel like anybody Aquarius is really the sign of just community, friendship, networks. It's the sign of our hopes and dreams.
No,
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
they
this
get
guy's
along
an
with
Aquarius.
Nice.
Nice. Just flows. This guy just flows.
And trying to
Yeah,
help.
Aquarius really gets along with anybody. And it's an air sign, so any other air sign, so a Gemini, Libra, or another Aquarius, or potentially another fire sign, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Yeah.
So I think that what you touched on earlier was really beautiful about how you used it as a coping method as well, and just really self-discovery. And I do think that one of the biggest issues that a lot of us do struggle with is understanding ourselves, right? And that, how do we even just know who we are or who we want to be? Do you have any tips for people who maybe find out their sign and don't associate with it, or are confused by it, or they think, hey, that feels really different to me?
Yeah. I was one of those people all my life. I'm a Sagittarius. I never really identified with Sagittarius energy. It just, and with the current state of astrology, with all the memes, the way people perceive Sagittarius, I'm like, that's not me. But then when I got to know my chart, I was like, oh, this makes so much sense. I am so much more than just this Sagittarius energy. Yes, it's there for sure. But, I think it's just a matter of understanding what the characteristics of each sign is, going through, maybe the people in your life. Who do you feel like you resonate with the most? Like, do you know a Virgo that you feel like, yeah, I'm totally a Virgo, but like my sun sign is Gemini, like I don't get it. So like maybe there's like a lot of Virgo energy in your chart. So yeah, it's just a matter of digging into your birth chart, and having a birth time is so important, because like that will really nail down the time. So hopefully everyone out there can get a hold of their, birth certificate, or ask their mom.
Right.
That's
I'm
important.
not gonna find. I think it was 6 a.m.
We'll have to check with your mom. Hopefully she remembers.
Yeah.
So I guess I want to just round out this conversation, because it's been beautiful speaking with you. And I just really want to encourage everyone to go to your page to learn more about everything that you're talked about today. One tip for the people out there who maybe they've lost their jobs, or their careers have kind of taken this turn, or they don't know what to do. What were your first steps that you took to turn this passion into something larger? Because obviously you have a podcast now.
I feel like it took a lot of introspection, like I said before. I'm not someone who is extroverted. And so it took a lot for me to actually get it together mentally, to put this podcast together and put it out there. And it was really, I felt called to do it just because it is something I am so passionate about, and it's helped me so much. It's improved my life. So I was just like, I want to give that to other people. I want other people to be able to experience that themselves. I was someone who, like, in astrology, there's mutable signs, and the mutable signs just mean like they're very like go with the flow kind of energies. And I have a lot of mutable energy. So that also translates into struggling to really have an identity. So like struggling to know who you are, like constantly searching for that. So really my effort went into putting this podcast together to kind of like help shape who I am as an astrologer now, like shape me, mold me, and like really help me to also heal myself and all, the things that I've been through. And just share with the world, and have guests on who can talk about their stories, and we can jump into their chart and, see the ways in which we are all very alike.
I love that.
I'm
We're going to have to
excited
come
for
on
you.
your podcast
Yeah.
too, for sure.
I'm
I would
excited
love
for you.
that. I would love that.
So happy for you, because it's so hard for a lot of us to like step into that place that we're being called to, because it's scary, to put yourself out there in that place. But like the fact that you found the courage to like really like step into it and you're owning it and it's doing well for you, and now like you're being blessed for it. Now you're like, okay, this is what I'm meant to be doing.
Yeah,
Good to
thank
see.
you.
And it's so
Yeah,
different
no,
from the fashion industry.
Mhm.
it is. It's a completely different thing. And you know, it's not some, I feel like I fell into that, and I kind of feel like I feel this is very in line with my energy, Pisces energy. I keep falling into different things, but for the first time, this kind of feels like this is it. Like there's something to this astrology thing. This is for me. This
Mhm.
is where I'm called.
Yeah.
And so I haven't like fallen into it. It was something I found and was like, whoa,
Yeah.
what is this? It was like a huge mirror was lifted in front of me and was like, you know, this is you. And, you know, you love astrology and it's helped you. And now you should help some other people.
Nice.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I guess maybe you should share quickly when you did look up my sign,
Yeah.
what did you do
Oh.
differently than you would have maybe if you didn't know? And tell people what I am too.
Oh, well, Iskra's a Virgo, and you know, from what I read, it was attention to detail, even and also with gifts too. I was very like they're more Virgos are more moved by thoughtful get, like it's not about like the whole, you know, expensive or it's like the thought behind it. So I was very, very calculated in the things that I did to make sure that like she knew that it was from the heart, and like I put some thought into it.
Yeah.
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 And just like it helped me not get, you know, me being an Aquarius and like flowing and like, you know, yeah, leave it right there. Who cares?
I'll
It'll
take
come.
every soda flavor in the same cup.
It helped me also be not so get not so defiant when she needed structure and needed things to be in order. It was like, okay, she's not trying to control me, but she needs this in order for her to be her best self. Like she needs things to be in a space where she knows what's going on, like step by
Yeah.
step by step. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, maybe I need a little bit of that.
We all
So,
do. I feel like Virgo energy is so necessary.
yes, 100%.
It just
It is so
is. It's
necessary.
so necessary.
You can't get nothing done if you don't have it.
I mean,
Nothing,
honestly.
literally nothing would get done without it.
Yeah, and
So
they
it's
get
like,
things done so
period,
efficiently.
bro,
It's like
facts.
correct too. It's like, you know,
Yes.
they really, I feel like Virgo energy doesn't get enough credit, and
And you
it's
know
like
they vetted
really,
it too. You know that they did their research. You know that they
yes,
went and did what was supposed to happen.
yes.
I was like, all right, bet. I can
It's
trust the Virgos.
underappreciated. Virgo energy, I think, is underappreciated and misunderstood because
Yeah.
often people go, you know, oh, they're perfectionists and, you know, nitpicky or whatever. But honestly, Virgo energy is to me the like essential workers of the zodiac. Like
Honestly.
if it weren't for Virgos, we'd all be asleep half the time, not really efficient, not really doing the work. You know, yeah, Virgos are so hardworking and really give of themselves, especially in relationships. They want to improve the life of just everyone around them. So, I mean, it's like, you know, they put a string of lights around your heart when they find you, and that's it. You're lit for the rest of.
Did put a
That's such a beautiful visual I now have. I'll be reminding him of that when I ask him to do the dishes.
Remember those string
of lights. Now go.
Yeah.
No, but thank you so much for everything today, and
No,
let's sort out when we can do our. I'm really excited to find out his birth chart. So,
yeah, get your time.
Get your time.
Sure. I know I have my birth certificate somewhere around. So
yeah, you do. We have that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, B. Take care. We love you tons. Thank you,
Yes,
everyone.
thank
You
you so
too.
much.
Thank you again.
Of course. Bye.
Bye.